Welcome back to the It's Karmic podcast with me, Vika Bradford. It has been a little while, but I'm so excited to bring you guys a new conversation today on human design and whatever else comes up. But I'm going to be welcoming a new face to the podcast, Jenn Grenier. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just so excited to chat with you about human design, but I'm sure we might add a little astrology into just because
Yes.
I love everything that you do. So thank you for the aligned invitation to be here today.
You are so welcome. Astrology, past lives, like human design. We don't even know where we're going.
Nope. And that's the beauty. My incarnation crosses of the unexpected. So I
Ah,
embrace it. Who knows?
I
It'll
love
be
it.
truth.
That's perfect for the way I flow. Perfect. Like it's like we don't know what we're doing. We're just here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I love this so much. So you came into my world and did a past life regression with me, and we went to some crazy places and had a lot of fun. And you just stayed in my field. And then I was like, yeah, I want to have her on the podcast and talk about all this juicy stuff. So tell me, how'd you get here? What is your story that brought you to this work?
Yeah. So I started off in psychology. I have a master's in mental health and art therapy. So for over 10 years, I was an art therapist working with mental health. I built a private practice and saw individuals working on anxiety, communication, boundaries, right? Really all like those energetic pieces that like we don't really identify as such. Working in that gray area, my moon's in the 12th house. So, like, I love all of that subconscious stuff. So, in 2020, right, world changed, pandemic hit, and human design found me. A friend kept mentioning it to me. And finally, I got so frustrated and was like, all right, what is this thing? I need to know. Mom, what time was I born? Let me figure this out. And of course, that kicked everything off because I went home. I'm a 3/5 emotional projector. So I went home, and back in 2020, there wasn't much online. So I read everything that there was about projectors. And I felt so seen, right? Projectors needing recognition. Like I was like, oh, here is the recognition that I have been longing for my entire life for being different. And no wonder why I'm a therapist, right? I see things in my own way. I'm here to guide people. I just want to help people be better. I want to help individuals to make the world a better place. So I knew that I had found my passion, my purpose, and I started integrating it into my private practice with my clients. And it was so cool to see how much easier it made my life, right? Because now I have this energetic blueprint of how you're designed, of what you need. Let's just check in with your strategy and authority. Here you go. And they would come back the next week and be like, that worked. It's great. I'm wonderful. So my private practice quickly dwindled down. And of course, around the same time, I was like, I want to get into coaching. I had let go of insurance and all that kind of stuff. So it was really just this beautiful, natural progression into the coaching, into being what I call myself today as a human design therapist. And I just love utilizing this work, love talking about energy to see the mechanics of everyone and how unique they are, and just seeing the alignment that gets to come into this world.
Yeah. This is so powerful because, human design's not my wheelhouse, but I dabble. And it felt so similar when I discovered I was a manifester. I was like, holy shit, there's my whole life in a nutshell, like the massive energy of people trying to constantly stop me, the like pushback I would get, the amount of like risky things I do, and how I'm just like, I'm doing the thing. And then people are like, don't do that. And it's just like, my whole life, just like people being like, stop, stop that. And when I really went down that rabbit hole, I was like, there I am, like, there I am. And that's why. And so I love that that was like the moment, like, you were just like, I feel seen. I feel held. I feel like something finally recognizes me. And that's so important.
Yeah, I always say human design gives us the permission slip to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And I love focusing on the deconditioning, right? I see human design as the roadmap of identifying and letting go of what is not ours, all that conditioning, so that we can really step into our gifts, our power to be fully ourselves and bring to the world what we're here meant to do.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about deconditioning because when I first went down the rabbit hole, obviously I heard that word a lot, but same as you, when I found human design, I think it was 2018. Again, not a lot going on. Like there was stuff, there were podcasts, there were some people. Nobody knew like how to describe a manifestor correctly at all. And now obviously that's changed with really powerful communities online. Like there's the manifestor community on Instagram, and she's like just changing things. And so at the time I was like, yes, I feel seen and there's missing pieces. And then, hearing words like deconditioning, but I don't feel like people were and still are explaining it properly, right? They're just like decondition yourself. And you're like, what does that actually mean?
Yes. So to simply give it a definition, I say letting go of all that you are not and honoring what you and who you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which feels so powerful. Like, what? There's pieces of me that aren't me. And we work with this a lot in astrology too, especially in karmic astrology. And it's like all this stuff that we're doing that is actually keeping us from thriving.
Yeah, I was just having a conversation with a client earlier about you've taught me so much about astrology. So we were talking about her Mars, which is at the tail end of her fourth house. And we were identifying all of these not self themes of Mars, all those shadows, all that lower vibration in human design. Her Mars is gate 6, which is the gate of conflict, the only gate that she has inside her solar plexus, which
Mm.
is arguably like the most challenging solar
Mm.
plexus design there can be. So it was just really cool to see, here are the shoulds. Here is the not self. Here is where it's not working for you, but how can we shift that vibration, right? I love pulling in the gene keys spectrum of
Yeah.
energy. So like, oh, the highest vibration is actually peace. Like, what does that mean? How can you utilize that? So that really is in the moment example of deconditioning, right? She's letting go of that complex. She doesn't need friction. She doesn't need to be at odds, at war with these things. How can she just go with the flow, especially in her family, right? All those fourth house
Mm.
themes,
Yeah.
to find peace, and that is in alignment for her.
I just love that so much. I'm like thinking of my own Mars, and I can't remember what gate it's in, but it's something to do with my highest expression is, oh my God, valor. And I remember just being like, what the hell is valor? And then I went down the rabbit hole of this energy, and I was like, oh, that's part of the stopping my whole life. These people like putting power against me, power against me, power against me. And like me coming into this place where I'm just like completely in my full sense of self, just being like, I'm good. Like, do what you want. Like, I'm operating from valor, from my highest expression, essentially, right? So when you're saying that, it's like this reflection for anyone who's listening and who's like maybe not dabbled in human design this way, or maybe has. It's like there is, just like I talk about in astrology, a high and a low octave of every expression.
Yeah.
Wow.
And all the gates, right? Like we can get really into the details, but then, there's the energy of the centers. So I mean, gosh, for
Yeah.
Mars to be in, that's gate 21, with Valor in the heart. Like the heart is so powerful. That's part of the money channel. Like there is so much there. So it's so cool for me. I get really lit up to see, like, where are you stuck in that shadow? Where are you holding yourself back, especially when it comes to Mars, like taking courageous action that's going to, you know, get you somewhere really, really good, and
Yeah.
how to shift that. So yeah, mine is in gate 9, which the shadow is inertia. And boy, do I
Mm.
feel like wrapped up in a spiral. And I'm like, I did so much. And then I'm like, but I actually did nothing. Now I'm burned out and I have to go rest for a couple of days before I can like try it all again.
Okay, because I love this because I feel like I have not talked about Mars enough on this show right now. So I'm like, let's just talk more about Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about all the Aries energy in the sky right now and everyone just meeting this shit. What do you mean? We've got war going on in the world, conflict, wars of ourselves, finding ourselves, feeling like we can't move forward or like we can't do anything. We can't affect change. We're like stuck or we're like pressing so hard to push things that aren't working. Can you talk more about Mars, the energy in human design of Mars? Like, tell me everything.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing you say that, I was like, "Ah," and of course it's eclipse season. Like,
Right.
what do we have to go through this next month to like get spit out somewhere else on the other
Yeah.
side? So, yeah, this is why I love human design, right? So, I see it as all the puzzle pieces fitting together. We have the chakra system with the heart, with the centers. Then we have astrology for the placements. So, when it comes to your Mars placement on your conscious side, right? So, if you're looking at your human design chart, you're going to look and find the Mars symbol on the right side. Chances are, like we've been discussing, you know it, you feel it. Where are you at on this spectrum? How can you move into a higher vibration so that it works how it's supposed to? But it can also be fun to look at your unconscious Mars because, and I love how all this overlaps. Because your unconscious design is really your wounds, your traumas, what you have brought from past lives, from generational trauma, all that karmic stuff that are your blocks that you are here in this current lifetime to heal or simply to bring to the conscious to access those gifts. So it can be really cool to see like if you're not resonating with your conscious Mars, if you're like, I'm stuck, I'm not taking action, like I'm just constantly at war with myself, it can be really helpful to look at your unconscious Mars to see what's going on there. Where am I at? Because if you're also in that shadow, you really almost have to heal that first to decondition so that you can use that gift to then move into your conscious.
Mm. So essentially, you'd be looking at that unconscious Mars and saying, how many roadblocks am I stuck in with this energy? And then going into like deep shadow work around what do I do about this and how do I shift this in order to maybe become more of that, well, both really, right?
Yeah, yeah, because your quantum current design here, right? We are all of these things. So how
Yeah.
to almost have them be in this symbiotic relationship, right? I mean, gosh, because to have both Mars in the shadow, like talk about holy war, like, oh, that would be a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, deeply frustrating. Because when we're working with Mars, and you see this all the time, it's either, yeah, it's one or the other. Again, the person feels like they have absolutely no ability to move forward or take action or go after their desires, or they are just ramming their head against a wall. I was listening to literally something from Carl Jung before we got on this call that was talking a lot about, trusting the flow of our life and trusting the doors that are open and the doors that are locked. And he was saying something about like we just keep banging our head against doors that are locked, or we just keep trying to like smash down doors that are locked versus, looking at the doors that open, the doors that are actually open for us. And it feels very Mars to be like doing either smashing at that one door and being like, open the fuck up, I want in, even though it's not for you, versus actually looking around and being like, oh my God, that door is open. Maybe that door is for me.
Uh, I mean, let me first off say that like I love Jung and everything he has and the archetypes and how that plays into the spiritual with
Mm.
astrology, with human design. It's just yeah, it's great to use. And that really is conditioning. I love that metaphor because when we are conditioned, we're taught, we've learned that if I just bang my head against this door and force it open, it's eventually going to open. Yet, no, no,
No.
no, it's not going to. But those shoulds really weigh so heavily on us. So deconditioning is really saying, like, fuck the shoulds, right?
Yeah.
Letting go of them to say, and this has become my whole movement within my business, there's another way.
Hmm. The third way.
Right? Just turn your head and see, oh my God, there's an open door. What if I walked through it? And then you're like, oh my God, this is so easy. Oh my gosh, look at this. You forget about trying to force your way through that door because there's a much simpler, easier path that's going to get you probably to a much better place.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you say this because the last, I want to say month intentionally, but the last 6 months unintentionally, intentionally, I've been working with releasing control. And very Mars to be releasing control. Obviously, it's lots of other energies as well. We got Saturn, we got all like, the signs, but I've been working with releasing control, thinking I know what the outcome for my life is, right? Because I've noticed that my need for control has burned me out, spiraled me into this health thing I'm working through, body stuff. I've just had Saturn go through my sixth house. It was the control and the gripping and the holding that I've been doing in order to get the reality I think I should be in. And so a little while ago, I was like, I'm not going to hold anymore. I was just like, I'm just going to let go. I'm not going to hold anymore. And when the universe blows me one way, I'm just going to follow it. And when it blows me another way, I'm just going to follow it. And I have noticed so much changing in my reality. One, the universe is speaking louder than it's ever been. It's just like, go this way. Here's a sign. Here's a book. Read this. Listen to this. And I'm like, okay. But that like release of banging on those doors, I feel like is so manifester. Anger is my signature. I have not been angry. I've not been angry. Like little bits of anger, I'm driving, the normal angers. But I have not been angry at anything for like a month or so. Longer, 2 months, 3 months. It's just like, okay, Jesus, take the wheel. Like, do what you're gonna do. Yeah.
And through that, you find peace because it's a lot
Yeah.
easier. And that's what you get to live in to
Mm.
be your whole self theme as a manifester. And I love that so much because control is the shadow of gate 21 that we mentioned. That is your daughter.
Okay.
You're standing up, taking authority to say, hey, I'm going to do it my way, universe.
Yeah.
You're in control here in a way. And then you find that valor. So it's so
Wow. Oh my God.
beautiful,
I didn't even
right?
realize.
I'm telling you, alignment. Like,
Deep
oh,
alignment. And like, what a gift that it just shows everyone listening right now that if we just like follow the inner nudges, we might actually be okay. And we're actually going into alignment.
yeah, yeah. And that's why I love working with the transits. Whether you just, are basic house or whether you dive in with human design transits, in whatever way, because it really is just like, oh,
Mm.
that's what's happening. That's what's going on. Okay, that's my, challenge right now. I'm in my nodal return. So letting go of the shadows of Virgo is
Mm.
very deep in my world right now through this next month. So it's really cool when we get to be aware of it, right? Like deconditioning, we need to have awareness, self-awareness. How do we cultivate it? How do we continue to check in? How do we process it and then ultimately like embody it, right? Because we want to live this best life. So it's really cool to work with these energies in whatever way that resonates with everyone, so that we can decondition. And now is really a time to decondition as we move through these next 2 years into the new paradigm. And I mean, we're getting to experience it and watch it in action.
Okay. Tell us about, if you can, about the new paradigm. Because I've heard things, I've been sitting back in my astrology world and I'm like, human design's over here like 2027. I'm like, what's happening? I
Yeah,
know, transit wise, it's
yeah.
good. There's major shifts happening again. Things, we've got Chiron shifting officially. We've got other things happening, but I'm like, what's happening in the human design that people are really talking about?
Yeah, yeah. So it is a huge deal. It happens about every 400 years
Hey,
that we move into a different incarnation cross. So
okay.
this last happened about 400 years ago when projectors were created and born, right? That was when we went from the traditional chakra system of seven centered beings. We evolved into the nine centered beings that we are today, right? The heart split into the heart
Mm,
and the G center, and then the solar plexus split into the spleen and the emotional solar plexus. So, in many ways, we've had these past 400 years for projectors to be like, we're we're here. Say see us, but like we're gonna wait for the invitation, but we need to decondition. We're all burned out. We're not doers, but how do we decondition and stand up to say, hey, we see things differently, and we're here to guide people while also deconditioning ourselves. So 400 years ago here in the US, right, we had the Revolutionary War that led to independence and all of that. So this past 400 years, the incarnation cross has been about the collective. It's been collective energy, and that's why we kind of went through an industrial revolution, right? How do we better the world? How do we give everyone access to an easier life? How can we do so that life can be easier?
mm,
So, this incarnation cross is going to be all about individual, which is about self empowerment, really tuning inward, empowering ourselves so that we can empower others.
mm,
So it's really a time to reflect. There's going to be shifting energies. We're going to have a new energy type, right? We're going to kind of evolve. Well, we are going to evolve into these 11 centered beings. So
mm,
much more sensitivities. It's also called the solar plexus mutation. So that solar plexus, all about emotions and awareness, is going to be in the forefront. And like, that's why
mm.
I'm here. Like, we got to talk about our emotions. My Scorpio descendant is like, get
Do
intense. So that is shifting our own selves, and also business,
it.
right? You have all the astrology terms, all the Neptune stuff with that disillusionment. Like what has worked in the past is no longer going to work. You have to be authentic. You have to do it for you. You have to, tap into your energies. So, yeah, it's really just tapping in, deconditioning, and when we kind of move through this chaos, right? We're going to be in this new world that everyone's like, what do we do? Like, I don't know what to do. So it's really a time for all projectors, 22% of the world, to hopefully decondition in these next 2 years so that we can really stand up and say, hey,
Mm.
be the lighthouse. I'm here to guide you in my way. I can help you through this.
Mm. That is exciting, intense, freaky, amazing. It's like all the things. And it just makes so much sense with like, Pluto moving through Aquarius for the next 20 years. It feels like the proper initiation into this energy with Uranus being in Gemini, like and then the Aries energy, it feels like everything, of course, is always divinely created, and it feels so important, as we are, diving into the self and what it means to be self-focused after spending so much time being disillusioned into the collective unconscious with, all the Piscean energy and even the Capricornian energy. So that's so interesting, like that it's like a new paradigm. And whether it's astrology or human design, we're like, we're not going to know what to do.
Right.
We're just going to have to figure it out as we go.
Right. The new, people call it new earth, right? There's so many different names for it, but ultimately, like nobody can predict what the world is actually going to be like come 2030. Yes, we
Right.
can look at the energies, the transits, the astrology of it, but like, what's it going to mean to be a human being at
Mm.
that time? And how are we going? Like, it's almost like how resilient are we? Have we allowed ourselves to become so that we can face that challenge and overcome it and stay in our signature themes, our highest vibration, so that we don't just crumble and succumb to the hardships we might face?
Mm. And doesn't it make you laugh that like we have, the fractions of society right now and the splits where we've got, the World Economic Forum demons over here, like 2030 agenda, and like this being like the 2030 shift. And then it's like, yes, how many things my brain, the conspiracy side of me goes, are they the powers that want to be using it? Or is it just divine alignment that, of course, it would be 2030, that would be the agenda they choose? And I'm always just like, which is it? Is it both? Is it all? Because it's so curious.
Right. And then with the work that I do, I'm like, well, what are our, karmic lessons? Why are
Yeah.
we all having to be here at this time to
Yeah.
go through it? What am I meant to do? And how do I fulfill that, but like not give in to the pressure and sit back
Yeah.
and wait for it all to happen?
Right. There is an amazing astrologer, and she's also I think she was a psychotherapist. I don't know if she's still, I don't think she's practicing. I don't know if you follow her. Her name's Laura Matsu. She's phenomenal. And her husband have a podcast, and they talk a lot about how the Pluto and Scorpio generation came in with a lot of Atlantean karma and a lot of Egyptian karma. And these two societies that essentially they talk about how the Atlantean karma went into the Egyptians, and the Egyptians, we're essentially bringing that karma, we are them, from the twofold coming into now. And so when you say this, I'm like, I get any chills because it's like, oh, of course, because we're actually rewriting a lot of those falls, those society, I would say power struggles, magic, dark occult practices, high occult practices that created collective falls. And it all has to do with technology.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so cool. I love
I
it.
literally have chills, like just like chills going through my body. I'm like, oh, of course. Of course. And it's all just like divinely timed for this moment. And when, everyone's freaking out, and I have my moments I freak out about the world. And I'm like, what's
Yes.
happening? But then there's this other piece of me that's like, no, it's all fine. It's all fine. It's all divinely created for us. For some reason, we incarnated at this moment for this chaos, and it's all good.
I just love when we can really just hand it over, like, and allow that non-attached clarity, that radical acceptance, like that. I mean, and I just hear your Mars in peace, right? You're like, it's all going to happen. I'm going to take divine action. I trust I'm a manifester. When I need to initiate, like, I'm going to go. So it's just
Yeah.
so cool to embrace that. And I love that the world is like being awoken to this energy, right? I have heavy Aquarius. It's my sun, my MC, my Mercury on the world axis. Like I am
Yeah.
here for it. So to see people being like, oh,
Mm.
oh, I see the connection. Okay, let me just relinquish control and trust. Like it's
Yeah.
such a hard thing. And I have the channel of surrender. So boy, have I had to learn how to surrender. And it is still, a theme throughout my life. But when we can really just trust, life gets to be so much simpler. Can be easier, and just the alignment that we get to revel in. It's like our new challenge becomes, how can I expand my capacity to hold this greatness, this
Yeah.
abundance, which is certainly challenging right now when it seems like the world is falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can keep going on that.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting because I have a great aunt and she is 98. So she has lived through a lot, right? She was born in the Great Depression in Germany. She had to live through World War II in Germany, and then went through all the other things that have happened over the last 98 years. And I talk to her sometimes about, I'm like, how much she's seen, like how much she's seen change in her life. And I feel like we forget that we're going to see that much and more change. And we like get stuck and we're like, we get so attached to what was, right? And she always says, like, she's like, it's not my world anymore. And I'm like, it doesn't even feel like my world anymore. But how much is going to change over our lifetimes? I think we kind of take for granted that we are going to see so much happen.
Yeah, and just this paradigm shift. I mean, that's why I love that I
Yeah.
have a word for it, because it's like
Hmm.
all of this change, yes, in the astrological senses, which help us kind of see the pieces of it. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's going to be a whole new world.
Yeah. And I believe in, I want to say it's Vedic astrology or, just in karmic yoga. I don't know. I'm losing my brain here, but they talk about, the Kali yugas. And I think we're switching yugas as well, too. So it's all just like happening at once.
Yeah, and I love that there's so many different languages to talk about this.
Yeah.
So I really hope that everyone can find their a spiritual way to interpret and also hold some type of foundation groundedness
Hmm.
as we move through these times, because it's I feel like it's easy for me to say, expect the unexpected, trust, surrender, yes, but so many people don't have that. So to find something that can really, or a guide, right,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
lead us through this into the new world.
Yeah, and I think about just how there are so many religious teachings that say it's like essentially the end of times, right? It's the end of days. It's the whatever it is in the many different religions where it's like this is the end, and when it happens, you are going to be essentially you're not going to exist anymore and you'll go somewhere better. But I always think about like how we create myths. It's what we do as humans. No matter what era we're in, we will create a myth. I think about how right now people are creating myths with the extraterrestrial idea of like what the councils and the higher the beings of the aliens. I'm like, you're creating myths right now. It's beautiful. It's great. Personally, I just see it as mythology. And I'm like, it's so interesting how we do create these myths, and some of them go into like it's going to be the end of days. And yet, is it, yes, the end of days, but it's not about us, the earth burning up or the end of day. Like, we're not going to die here. It's not the end. It's the end of an era. It's end of the energy we understand, end of a moment that we've been living in and we're comfortable, get uncomfortable, and we're like, we're here, but we're just alchemizing. And that's huge, I think, for these moments.
Absolutely, and that's why I feel so passionate about encouraging people to step into this. Who do you want to become? What type of world do you envision, right? Being kind of a world builder. It's like I love envisioning and dreaming of this world where we are all deconditioned, where we are all living in alignment. We understand our strategy and authority. We're embodying it. We're putting our nervous system first. We are openly talking about our emotions and allowing ourselves to be intimate with others, right? Like
Yeah.
how can we move into that and build this new world that we really like get to? Because I feel like for my whole life it was like, no, that's not possible. No, live in reality. And while my shadow is fantasy, like I want to make it a reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And can you speak a little bit about, because I love that human design talks about the nervous system a lot and like how it's all very linked in. And I think it's important. Nervous system conversation is big right now. And I think it's going to get even bigger just because Gemini is a nervous system energy. Aquarius is a nervous system energy. Virgo is a nervous system energy. And I'm like, okay, can we talk about this more? But I guess it's almost like when a word blows up and nobody knows what it means anymore. But I'd love to connect it into human design and like the guidance you could possibly give people around what that nervous system regulation might look like when they're maybe looking at their human design chart. Obviously, it's very complex, but little tidbits.
Yeah, so the nervous system directly connects with the solar plexus,
Of course.
what I've been talking about, right? Our emotions with soothing our nervous system, right? When the solar plexus split from the spleen is all about instinct, right? Staying alive. It's where our
Mm.
deep-seated fears lie. It is that fight or flight. And of course, it can be conditioned, right? The solar plexus is all about freeze or fawn. It is about that nervous system regulation. And when I see people with a completely open solar plexus, completely white, no gates defined in there, my first question to them, because I do these energetic assessments, right? How in alignment are you? Is, have you been diagnosed with fibromyalgia? Do you
Mm,
have a nervous system disorder? Because that right there is the dysregulation, is the really, it's conditioning. It's allowing others' emotions to become your own, which is not what you're meant to do. You're meant to reflect half of the world, like myself, that is an emotional authority. We have defined solar plexus. They're these open solar plexus need to mirror that back. They just need to reflect the emotions back to others, which no one is taught to do in order to be in alignment, in order to be in your signature theme, to not have nervous system dysregulation, right? That's why I probably worked with anxiety for as long as I did, because it can come
Yeah.
from that. And because the solar plexus can be connected to the root center being about stress, pressure. Are you grounded? Depending on your individual solar plexus relationship with the root, right? Is that feeding it? Does it have an outlet? There are all these aspects. So, yeah, when we talk about the nervous system, definitely going into the solar plexus, understanding it. This is why, like, I'm creating all of these things just
Yeah.
around the solar plexus because
Yeah.
I love it. But the world needs to know about it so that if you are trying over and over again, you've worked with therapists, different practitioners to heal your nervous system. If you're not looking at it on a basic energetic level and understanding how you specifically are meant to work when it comes to emotions, you can really hit this block, this stopping point. And that's usually why.
Mm. I'm just reflecting on my own emotional authority as well, and my undefined everything. I only have two centers defined in my chart,
Mm.
which is the ajna, no, sorry, three, the ajna, the throat, and the solar plexus. So I'm like, as you're saying this, I'm like, of course, like, and nervous system dysregulation has been an issue my whole life. Didn't realize it, obviously, but I feel like it really comes from that root, the pressure, the pressure, the pressure, the like mass amount of pressure I put on myself. And I feel like this is so important for everyone, no matter if you have defined or undefined, is like listening to you, maybe working with you, because there's so many questions around like why is your nervous
Mm.
system actually dysregulated? Like for me, I look at, the pressure, the control, the amount of gripping I've done, the amount of trying to be successful, make my parents think I'm special, like make the world think I'm special. I'm like, it's just that pressure, right? So then I'm thinking about everyone else and like they're gonna have different stories as to why they're dysregulated, right?
Yeah, and in that, just to speak to the like trying to prove your worth, that's the undefined heart. And
Oh my God, I
70% of
know.
the world has that too, and especially as women, like obviously I can talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
But I would love to speak to the half of the world that is an emotional authority like
Yeah.
us, because just understanding that you ride a fixed emotional wave, that you're going to have high highs, low lows,
So low.
seeing what that actually looks like. Like, this was a huge life changing moment for me. I was like, no wonder why I had so many tantrums as a child, because that's my wave. And like, let me
Mm.
be really emotional. Let me have a breakdown and give me 20 minutes and I'll come right back and be just fine. So
Yeah.
if we're trying to like force, no, I'm not feeling, no, I can't have a little breakdown, then that is going to dysregulate us and
Mm.
throw off our nervous system. So when half of the world works like that,
Yeah.
it is drama queens, and then half of the world needs to just reflect that back and not absorb it, like that is so challenging.
I'm just like thinking about my husband. He's an emotional authority as well, manifestor as well. And though he doesn't reflect it back, he holds my tantrums so well. And he's always like, how do you go from 0 to midnight in 5 seconds? Like how, because his waves are different. He doesn't get angry, even though he is a manifestor. That's his own conditioning,
It's middle.
severe conditioning, right? Where it's like that was not allowed, whereas my tantrums were so big, and I still have them. But he always jokes that like I don't hold it for very long. Like you said, it's like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and I'm like back to normal. But I need to explode. And I didn't have that safety as a child, right? It's like, I don't feel like most people who have an emotional authority had the safety to hit the high and then
Mhm.
hit the low. Because when you hit the low, they're like, oh my God, you're dying. Like, what's wrong with you? Are you sick? I feel like a lot of my lows were me having a fever after I had a tantrum. And like, there was just no understanding of the wave I was riding. And now, understanding the wave, you're even giving me more insights as to like my tantrums that I have. And I'm like, there's a judgment in me still, right? That's like, oh, I'm having a tantrum again. Why am I so angry? Why am I so angry? And then my Gemini Mars gets hit really hard and she starts saying things she doesn't mean. And she gets really sharp. And then I'm like, I don't mean anything I'm saying. But as I'm watching it right now, I'm like, okay, like I actually just need to be okay, not to say things I don't mean, but I need to be okay to hit that like ceiling for a minute, freak out, and then come back down. And as you say that, I'm like, oh, that feels like therapy.
And that's why I loved using this in therapy. And while I don't provide therapy anymore, I am
Yeah.
always a therapist. And that's an
Hmm.
aspect that I bring into my coaching because I just want people to feel the relief
Mm.
and be like, oh, yeah,
Oh,
that is me. And
yeah.
it's okay, right? Just to heal that inner child and have the self compassion that I'm human and this is okay for me to experience this.
Yeah.
And how can I allow myself to continue experiencing this, but in a healthy way, not a conditioned
Mm.
way?
Yeah, I feel like you just healed me in like one little like 5 minute section of our podcast there. It's just like, oh yeah, like it's actually okay. It's all right. And my husband's the first person that's really been okay with my tantrums. Like obviously he notes them and he's like, wow. And I'm like, yeah. But he is really able to just be like, it's not about me. He's like, it's not about me. It's not even at me. It's not real. And he just is like, see you in a minute. Like I'm just gonna exit the premises. And as you're saying this, I'm like, oh, I should actually just be allowed to do that. Maybe I need to be a little more conscious about going to do it in my own space, not at him. But oh, it feels like deep there to just be like, okay, cool. Like have a tantrum, have a breakdown, go to bed. Also, the times where emotional authority, I hit zero. I hit the low. And for me, that low feels like depression. It feels like nothing's working. I'm going to quit everything. I hate everything. And then I go to bed.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, it's actually just okay.
Yeah. And understanding like how that wave works, right? There's technically four different waves. So knowing which one, two, or oof, three you might
Yeah.
have going on within you and what you need. Like there was a pivotal moment in my life. I had two roommates and I came out to join them. And all of a sudden I was like, what is going on within me? Like there was just this rise of emotion. My roommates did absolutely nothing, right? This was all me. And I
Yeah.
could have easily lashed out on them and given them a piece of my mind. But I was like, okay, I think I need to take some space. I need to go cry, right? There's an emotional release that has to happen. So I
Yeah.
just simply excused myself. I went into my room. I allowed myself to feel my feels. I bawled my eyes out, right? When it comes, it
It
comes.
comes.
I
Yeah.
let it out. And then I came back and was like, okay, I'm ready to be here and
Mm.
carried on with my day. So it's when we give ourselves permission to just, right, have a little fit, have a little crash out, whatever it needs to be, while holding emotional boundaries for ourselves. And I love how your husband has the emotional boundary of like, she's going to go feel her feels. It has nothing to do with me. There's
Yeah.
no projection here, and just to have that healthy dynamic is so beautiful.
Mm. As you say this, I'm reflecting on a recent girls' trip with my friends where, again, I'm also a manifestor. I don't have a lot of energy. Like, and so my friends can go, like, they can just go and they're up all night. And I'm like, listen, I need to go to bed. It is 9 p.m.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
and
Non-staples.
right, I'm like, I gotta go. And they can be out all day, like they can go without food. And I'm like, what are y'all doing here? And I had to step away. And I was like, I'm going to bed early. And I was experiencing anger, like anger. It wasn't about them. It wasn't real. And I knew that, but I was like surging with anger. And I was like, I'm just going to exit the premises. I'm going to go to bed early, even though I had FOMO. And I was like, oh, look at me missing out on the girl's name. They're all outside having fun, blah, 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 this whole story. And I went downstairs and I was like angry. And I didn't put any of that anger like at them, but in the morning they were like, we thought you were angry at us. And I was like, no, I just needed to exit the premises. I just needed to put myself like a child to bed before I did have a tantrum that wasn't even about them. Went to bed, woke up, and I was fine. I was fine. And so as you're saying, reflecting it back, I'm like, wow, imagine if I could just communicate to my friends. Like I can communicate to them that I need space and I actually won't be able to hold the capacity that they all are, and they're good. But now I'm like, oh, I can actually communicate that like if I get in that mood, it's actually not yours. It's mine and I just need to go process it. So wow.
And
Wow.
that's the beauty of understanding ourselves so that we can communicate our needs, our experiences, so that we can help others understand us.
Yeah. I need you to write 16 books, please, so that I can just read them constantly and
Well,
everyone listening can read them.
I may need your help initiating that, and then I
Okay, I'm
probably will
initiating.
need a generator to like do the work. So
Right, valid,
team effort.
valid. We just need, yeah, we need all the tools, all the people, because this feels so important. How do people work with you? Like, what do you got going on? Because I know for a fact I'm like, really need a session. But yeah, I've got people I know I can feel it that are like, I need this therapy real bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so I always start out with an energetic assessment. It's an hour and a half deep dive into your chart. We look at all the centers, all your gates to really see where are you stuck in the shadow? Where do we need to decondition? And because I come from a person-centered, strengths-based approach, we look at the strengths. Like what gifts are you already utilizing that you have access to celebrate and to help guide you through this deconditioning process, right? Deconditioning takes 7 years, really takes your whole life. So there's no rush. So I love starting with those energetic assessments because then you really get to know me, how I work. You're going to feel seen. You're going to feel, permission to be yourself. And then we know where you're at, right? What are your goals? What do you really want to work on? And then I do offer coaching in a variety of ways, whether it be continuous every other week, or whether you're like, I am ready to transform. I need a 6 month one-on-one container with you. That is my inner work where we Vox all the time. We're looking at different charts. We're meeting almost weekly. Like there is just so much in there. We do a monthly moon spread to see like what else are we missing.
Mm,
So I love just the inner work space that is there. And then if you're kind of just want to, touch in my world, I have two different group memberships
amazing.
where you can learn more if you're not ready for the deep dive. If you love community, those
Yeah.
are really beautiful space. And then I will be putting out down the road a new solar plexus, like all that we've been talking about today.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's my passion, and it's going to be called the Emotional Sovereignty Kit.
That feels so important and like so needed.
Yeah, so that you
Wow.
can understand your solar plexus. And then because I love the dynamics, what I call interpersonal energy dynamics, like you and your husband, right? One on one, what's going on?
Yeah.
We talk about those solar plexus dynamics.
Oh my God, I love this so much. Oh, I feel like I knew I was excited about your work, but now I'm like triple excited because I'm seeing the therapist in you, like just using these tools. And there's this little part of me that in another life would have loved to be a psychotherapist, but in this life, it's like A, know the time, and B, the restriction. And that's why you gave up your license, right? Is the restriction, the massive restriction. And I love seeing therapists like and psychotherapy, people who've studied psychology move into these fields because it actually, I think, creates more change, way more change.
Absolutely. And just to be in the gray and it's not all or nothing, it's not black and white. And to
Yeah.
know that it's safe to be in this different realm where there is no answer, there's no divinity, and we're still okay, if not better,
Hmm.
is I feel like just a really beautiful place that all the mental health practitioners in all fields really get to the word isn't coming to me, but where we make the unseen seen.
Yeah. I love that so much. I'm so excited to just like see all the things you're creating and how many people you're going to be helping. Like, wow, wow, wow. And already are helping. It's very exciting. Okay, so I'm going to put all of your anything you want to share that you have shared. I can pop that into the show notes for everyone that's listening, how to find you, where to find you. Yeah, tell me, tell everyone, where do we find you? What is the Instagram or what socials are you on?
Yeah, so I'm definitely on all the socials, but really on all the socials because I'm a projector. So,
Valid.
right, we need
Ditto.
to know where we want to be. And I love being on Instagram. That's where I love connecting with people through the DMs. Like, please message me. Let's start a conversation. You can find me at the Vital Jen. And then you can drop my website in there too, Divine Vitality with Jen with two
Perfect.
N's. And that's where you can find all the info on everything.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I will put all of that in the show notes for everybody so you guys can easily follow. Go in. What are we doing? How are we working? Because I know you're all already going in the comment section right now, or the whatever it's called, show notes. Thank you so much for your time, your energy. Like this was, I think, one of my favorite conversations I've had in a long time. And I'm excited just to see what comes out of it.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for this aligned invitation. And I am just reveling in my signature theme of success because I have so many female emotional manifestors in my world. And like you guys are just so special to me. So
Received.
thank you.
Received. Honestly, the amount of projectors in my life, I didn't realize it until obviously human design came in. I was like, holy shit, like I'm surrounded by projectors. What a blessing. What a blessing to have this many, because you're not all out there. There's not that many of you. And to have so many around me, I'm like, this feels important that I'm surrounded by projectors. So I love this.
Oh, I love it. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for everyone. I will link everything, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys discover. Any aha moments, drop them in the comments. Send either of us a DM. We want to hear from you.